Imagine if you could calculate your money's real buying power. Is it really growing or just holding steady? And if you think the inflation rate tells you that, think again. Welcome to Common Sense Money, where I share actionable techniques, tips, and tools to assess and grow your money. In the last episode, we introduced inflation's hidden twin, purchasing power loss, or PPL, and saw how it tracks the real decline in your money's value over time. If you haven't watched that episode yet, I highly recommend checking it out first. It lays the foundation for everything we'll do in this episode. The link is in the description. As promised, I'll show you how to calculate your own personal PPL rate, the one that matters for you, and tells you exactly how much your money has devalued. But first, let us understand a couple of reasons, among several, why the inflation shown on the news may be misleading for you. Governments calculate inflation using a standard basket of goods, but your basket, the stuff that you mostly spend on, may be very different from this standard basket. For example, the standard basket might assign 40% to housing, 15% to transport, 14% to food and beverages, 8% to medical care, and 6% to recreation, among other things. But maybe you're very healthy, travel a lot, and eat out often. So your personal allocation could be 30% for housing, 25% for transport, 20% for food and beverages, 1% for medical care, and 10% for recreation, among other things. Or, for an elderly person with medical issues, it might be 35% for housing, 5% for transport, 12% for food and beverages, 30% for medical care, and 2% for recreation, among other things. Another factor, short-term dips in inflation, can hide a steady rise over several years. In this hypothetical example, even if the number for 2025 seems low at 1.5%, if averaged over 5 years, it is 3.3%. So, how can you calculate your personal PPL rate? Now, this method isn't perfect. It assumes you're buying roughly the same things in similar quantities over time, but it gives a realistic approximation of how much value your money has actually lost. Let's get started. Create a list of 10 products or services you spend the most on. It could be rent, groceries, transport, any 10 items that form the bulk of your monthly spending. Name this column Item. Now, name the next column Current Spend. And alongside each item, write down how much you spent on it last month. Next, we will need your expenditure on these items 5 years ago. But how can you possibly remember what you spent 5 years ago? Don't throw up your hands in despair. It's very easy to generate and look up bank statements and check your purchase history on shopping apps. I tried it, and it took me under 30 minutes. Write down these 5 years old expenditure figures alongside last month's expenditure figures in a new column called Historical Spend. For each item, make sure the current quantity consumed matches the quantity consumed 5 years ago, as far as possible. If you consume something more now than you did before, or vice versa, adjust the quantity and expenditure accordingly. Now create 3 more columns and name them Inflation, Weight, and Weighted Inflation. Now, before we dive into some more math, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like a lot of work, but don't worry. I've created a ready-to-use Excel template that does all the math for you. You just have to fill in your items and expenditure, and it will automatically do all the calculations. You can download it from the link in the description. So sit back and follow along. In the inflation column, we want to calculate how much prices have gone up for each item over the last 5 years. To do this, we divide current spend by historical spend and then subtract 1 from the result. Then we multiply with 100 to get the inflation percentage. Think of it this way. If 5 years ago you spent $10 on an item and now you spend $14 on the same item, dividing 14 by 10 tells us how many times bigger your spending is. In this case, 1.4 times. But we only care about the increase, so we subtract 1, leaving 0.4. Multiply that by 100, and you get 40%. That's the inflation for this item. Next, we have the weight column. The idea here is to determine how important each item is with respect to your total expenditure. Not all items matter equally. If you spend $1,500 on rent but only $50 on coffee, rent should have a bigger impact on your personal inflation than coffee. To calculate the weight, we take the historical spend for each item and divide it by your total historical expenditure. For example, if your total spending was $2,000 and you spent $400 on groceries, groceries had a weight of 400 divided by 2,000, or 0.2. This means groceries accounted for 20% of your spending. Now we can calculate weighted inflation. This tells us how much each item contributes as a percentage to your overall personal inflation. We simply multiply the inflation for each item by its weight. For example, if groceries have an inflation of 40% and a weight of 0.2, the weighted inflation is 40 multiplied by 0.2, which is 8%. Once we have the weighted inflation for all items, we add them up to get your total personal inflation over 5 years. To convert this into an average annual rate, we use a formula called CAGR, the compound annual growth rate. It works like this. Let's say your total weighted inflation over 5 years is 16%. So for $100, we divide 100 by 1.16 to get $86.21. That means, over 5 years, prices have gone up to the point where $100 today can buy what $86.21 could buy 5 years ago. Notice how we divide by 1 plus total weighted inflation of 0.16 instead of just subtracting. This accounts for compounding over multiple years. Next, we want a single yearly rate that, if applied every year, would reduce your $100 to $86.21 in exactly 5 years. This is the formula we use, but you don't have to worry about it. And now that you have the annual weighted inflation rate, you can find out your personal PPL rate by applying the formula you learned in the last episode. And there you have it, your personal PPL rate. Compare this to the official PPL rate you calculated before. Is it more or less? Let me know in the comments. If you found this useful, please like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bells so you don't miss the next one. Now that you have your personal PPL rate, it gives you a new perspective on your money. You can now evaluate your savings and investments not just by nominal returns, but by how much real buying power they preserve or grow. If you wish to support my channel, there is a link in the description. Thank you for watching.